At the beginning of the film, a girl named Medina Manson tells us that according to her mother, all natural blondes are selfish and colored ones are pathological liars. The heroine is very dear to her twin brother Jim, with whom she feels a close connection. The guy could always lift the mood of Sandy's mother, but Medina caused her something else. The family moved to California because the father Phil wanted to get a more prestigious job. Medina watches over the ocean and hopes that her family will always be happy. Sandy does not want to go to the party and tries to motivate her husband to stay home. However, the man remains adamant, as the event is much needed. A lot of guests are gathering at Friendly Hills. Medina is bored, and her mother, who drinks Xanax, asks Phil to come home soon. Sandy chats with her daughter and tells her she's special. At the new school, Friendly Jim is immediately popular, unlike the heroine. Medina argues that Palos Verdes, where they settled, is like a small paradise where everything is peaceful, cozy, and beautiful. At night, the heroine hears a strange noise and sees surfers conquering the ocean waves. The next day, Medina gets a surfboard, raising her t-shirt in front of the cellar and really surprising him. Jim supports his sister's new hobby, and together they head to the beach. However, Medina discovers that the Bay Boys are trying to privatize the place, as if the waves were their property. At breakfast, her husband offers Sandy plastic surgery if she is not satisfied with her appearance. The woman decides to join the Palos Verdes Society, but behaves somewhat awkwardly. At home, Sandy learns that her husband actually left the office at 4 o'clock and lied about the late consultation. The upset woman advises Medina to find someone who will love her for something other than her face, and leaves to go to the bathroom. At breakfast, the parents have an uncomfortable conversation about relationships. Jim and his sister decide to run away from the scandal to the beach. The guys from the Bay try to dictate their terms and even humiliate Medina, but the heroine is confident in her desire to surf and therefore does not pay attention to them. At night, Sandy sniffs her husband's car and smells a woman's perfume. The woman provokes another quarrel and wants to leave, taking Jim away. The guy doesn't listen to Phil and takes it out on him. Together with his sister, Jim goes to a party where he tries forbidden pills. At home, the guy talks to Medina and discusses in which countries he would like to surf. The next morning, the heroine goes jogging with her father. Phil speculates that he married early and perhaps his spouse would have been happier with someone else. A man admits that he's met someone and wants to start living a different life. Medina cries when she learns that her father is in love with Ava, their real estate agent. The woman has a son, Adrian, but Phil is happy to take his children to a new home. Soon there is another terrible scandal in this family. After learning about everything, Sandy begins to accuse her husband of taking advantage of her and does not want to consider the problems, so he leaves to another woman. Lost Medina and her brother hold back tears as they try to abstract themselves from the chaos going on around them and their family. Phil tries to enlist his daughter's support, but she runs away. Sandy, having learned of her affair with Ava, tries to kick her spouse out of the house. Jim runs after his sister, trying to comfort her. Soon Medina is leafing through a surfing magazine and hears a strange noise downstairs. A relieved Sandy decides to forgive her husband and try to start over. However, Phil has already made his decision and is ready to commit his life to another woman. Medina puts on headphones to hide in her fantasy world of surfing and a quiet life. The heroine diligently pastes magazine clippings on the walls of her room while listening to atmospheric music. Surfing lessons become a breath of fresh air for Medina, an opportunity to become free and happy. In the evening, Sandy feels terrible and asks her son to stay with her. The next day, however, the woman feels angry and resentful again. Sandy goes to the tennis court, where she catches her husband with Ava. The woman is unceremonious and takes to loudly insulting Phil for his treatment of her and the children. Sandy tells Ava that she is simply one more of the man's lovers, nothing more. The upset children go home with their mother, trying to process and make sense of what has happened. On the beach, Jim unexpectedly notices a famous surfer. The star greets them and invites them to visit a secret place next time. In the evening, Jim is about to leave for a party, but his mother stops him. Sandy is sure that now it is her underage son who should be responsible for all the family's affairs. From the weight of responsibility, Jim decides to drink some of the drugs with which his mother is treated. While the boy and Sandy play cards, Medina flips through the family album, remembering the happy moments of life. The next day, the upset heroine goes to a famous surfer for consolation, but at the last moment runs away. Near the beach, Medina meets Adrian. The guy tries to be friendly, but Medina tells him to leave as Jim might pick a fight. Sandy learns that her husband has bought Ava a nice seaside mansion for her. The woman is comforted by a passing Joe. The man argues that Sandy deserves better, and what has happened should not break her. Jim, meanwhile, continues to immerse himself in a world of pills and distorted consciousness in order to somehow get over what has happened. Sandy continues to behave recklessly. To get back at her husband, she decides to order a lot of unnecessary things with his money. Medina is going to dinner with her father, but Jim, under the influence of Sandy, refuses to go with her. The heroine learns that Adrian is an ardent animal advocate and wants to connect her future with it. Phil gives his daughter a ride home and thanks her for coming and talking to him. Medina talks to her brother and learns that he is worried about his act earlier and believes that his father now hates him. Medina tries to comfort the guy as best she can and advises him to talk to Phil before he leaves for Paris. The next day, the heroine goes to the beach with Adrian and has a wonderful time. The guy speculates that Phil may not be in love with his mother, but Medina's life will still not be the same. After the walk, the heroes decide to have dinner together in a cafe. Jim, meanwhile, continues to destroy his health and psyche, trying to hide from guilt and fear of the future. After a date and a first kiss, Medina returns home and learns that her brother has been hospitalized. The heroine talks to Jim and asks him to stop and not ruin himself. In addition, the guy is visited by Phil. Jim asks to take him with him to Paris, but the man offers to do it next time. Medina asks her father to stay, but the man says that the work trip is very important. Jim feels rejected again because of the refusal and doesn't want to fight for his life. At home, Sandy begins to pester her son because she is concerned about his relationship with Heather. The woman assures him that Jim will only have to be the head of the family until she is on her own 2 feet. Medina chats with Adrian over Skype and feels herself growing attached to him. Meanwhile, Jim continues to take out his anger on the beachgoers. Adrian invites the heroine to his house, and there they really get close and get to know each other. The next day, the guy gives Medina a ride home, but it is seen by an enraged Jim. The heroine asks Adrian to leave quickly and tries to calm her brother down. Jim cries and admits that he thought it was as if his sister had decided to run away from him for good. Medina tries to chat with her father and ask him to come back. The heroine criticizes Sandy for her treatment of Jim, not as a child but as a husband. Medina manages to carefully take her brother surfing while their mother gets endless useless things to at least make up for her husband's love and care taken away. Sandy gives Medina aquarium fish and promises they can be a family again. The woman invites Joe to dinner, but is quickly thrown off balance when she realizes that he has no desire to be her support and protection. Soon Adrian visits Medina and offers to go to the beach. However, the girl refuses because she must be close to Jim, as he is now very difficult. Medina decides to end her relationship for the sake of her brother's well-being. Sandy tells that her father decided to take the heroine to himself and leave Jim. The guy gets very upset, and his sister assures him that Phil would never give up on him. Unable to reach her father, Medina comforts her brother and offers to run away. Adrian robs his family to give the heroine money for her trip with Jim. Medina picks up her brother, who is acting strangely, and leads him to the car. However, Jim suddenly sets his house on fire, after which he leaves. The doctors tell Phil and Sandy about their son's addiction, which has influenced all his behavior. Medina visits her brother again at the hospital and gives him a stuffed whale. Jim promises that he will recover, and they leave together to conquer new horizons. However, soon the guy is found by cars cleaning sand on the beach. A weeping Medina can't believe she has lost her brother. Jim has taken his own life, unable to keep fighting for himself and believing in a miracle. Sandy, Phil, and Medina say goodbye to him on the ocean, scattering his ashes over the waves. The heroine has no intention of moving in with her father or mother. Medina intends to travel in memory of Jim, realizing that her new family is the ocean. This is the end of the movie. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this movie, and see you in new videos.